car lovers, look, glorious day outside. Finally come to the shed and the actual sun's out, so we old Woody here out into the beautiful daylight while we get stuck into doing some more work on Beefy. Today's little project is, we haven't got the engine mounts turned up yet, the kit that we've got to make, but I think we've got to run down to town, buy some RHS. We need to get stuck into that gearbox cross member at least. The mounts might turn up today for this, so slight possibility some of the mounting, or most of the mounting of the Barra and the BDR should all be done today. So we've got to keep moving forward on it. Out here, so we've got the new stud for the turned up for the oil pickup, the extra one we need. Got a couple of seals for the sump. The rest of it's just glue on. In here we have pretty mint condition, non-cut up. It's only got this tiny crack down this corner here, but it's a mint condition HZ dash, which is pretty much identical to the WB one anyway. Not going to muck around with GDS one in the meantime. I just want to get it tidy, get it on the road, get it nice. The mirrors turned up and I took them down the workshop and painted those. So we've got the factory country spec sort of mirrors all painted, ready to go. Don't have the gaskets while I'm down in town. I'm going to see if I can just go and buy some rubber. I'll just cut my own. Feel very nervous hanging on to those because it cost me a little bit of money to buy. God forbid I drop them now. So chuck them somewhere safe. So, without further ado, we really need to get into town and get some steel, and also too, trying to hold this phone in a proper way so it records, not like that, like that. And I ordered a mount and selfie stick thing to try and make life a bit easier, so we'll persevere with the phone for the meantime. But all said and done, I don't know if there's much else we need to tell you, but we better get our ass in the gear and go get your steel. It's gonna How good does that look? Bloody beautiful. Very boring this side at the moment about the features put on. Makes a big difference, eh? Very adamant to have those strips on it this time, and the cracked mirrors. Just really pops with those wheels. But sadly, that's not what we're working on today. Back into Beefy. So, we got that. Must be a chunk of RHS. Every time I go down there, I know I'm one of those nuisance buyers, or I'm going down there looking for a metre of this and a metre of that, so I tend to just walk around their yard, and they're really good with me with that. Walk around the yard and try and find offcuts, really, so I don't have to get them dragging out 6 metre lengths or 8 metre lengths of steel just to cut me a little bit off. So I tend to try and fit into them as much as possible, and they just give me a good deal on the steel, because technically I'm just buying the shit that no one else wants. So, well, jibber jabber, let's get into Beefy. So, part of a plan today is we need to get this cross member made So we've got the gearbox, got the factory mount up in here, and here's the factory mount points. Now I sort of offset by a good 100 mil. I've got some really thick steel plate over there, which I was going to just cut all the bits out of that I need. So I'm sort of torn as to whether it'd be okay just to put the plate on here, because it's like 10 mil plate, and whether or not we can come back to here, as you can see the sort of length difference, and then my RHS can pretty much just go straight across. Or do I try and come off the plate, angle it again, and go straight across, and then just, so I'm sort of liking the idea of just having straight uprights going off my RHS and up. I was thinking about doing like a bit of a dog leg coming back off. I just like the idea of making it a bit simpler, even though it'll make this bottom section a bit more complicated. I don't think it'll be too bad still. So I think what we'll do first is we'll drag out the big plate, we'll get these cut. We might even try and get the holes drilled and some couple of bolts holding them into place, because we do have to come down a bit, because this torsion bar actually sits a bit lower than the actual mounting point. So once we get that plate on, we'll be able to actually work out how low and how high we need to go. So just a lot of cutting and a lot of noise and a lot of me getting covered in crap today. Oh jeez. But funny thing is, I got one can left from last night, just like last week. So might as well wet the lips and Alright, got the cross member tacked in, so let's have a look. Hard to see of all the glare and the light. Very hard to see actually. But I've got it tacked in, so now what we're going to do is figure out in this foam what we're going to do about trying to get a bracket from the cross member up to the factory VDR support mount. So I think what I would do is I might use that plate, and it's going to be a lot of cutting. We might weld something that goes across the top down the face here for a nice twist sort of strength, and then we might just bring it up and put a bit of flat across the top so it has something for that to sit on. So first things first, we just need to make these gussets to go in there, so a lot more cutting and a lot more grinding. So that first bracket I just cut out is actually a really nice fit. It should work good. So because I've done the hard yards and cut a lot of these longer lines, I'm going to make it a bit easier on myself and use that 45 that I used in there to slide that into place, and then I've only got to cut this back corner out and it's job done. Cheering. Got my foundation on wrong. Alright, we're going pretty good. Got those big plates cut out. Been in there test fitting them. Just going to go underneath now, and we'll measure up the gearbox to make sure it's centre on the cross member. And we'll tack in those big mounts. And then I think I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to go and buy some flat bar instead of cutting any more of that steel out, just to make it a bit easier. So we'll get underneath now and measure up and tack these big brackets in. Fucking car. For the love of fucking God, where is the other bracket? Where have I put it? Jesus Christ. Alright, doesn't look too bad. So I've actually got like a bit of an angle, a bit of a taper in the brackets to make it a little bit funky. But we're just gonna, you see, I'm gonna go treat myself and buy some nice big flat bar to weld into there, and once we've got that angle and the height set, we can pull it out and weld it up properly. I reckon what we'll do is we'll TIG weld it all up. It'll be a nicer finish and stronger compared to my little welder over there. And then we won't drill the holes yet because I've got a sneaky suspicion I might be trying to drag it backwards. About another 10 to 20 mil once the actual mounts turn up. So we'll just get it sitting on the bracketry there, and we can actually then lift up the engine to clear that cross members up the front a bit better, and then just push it back fraction, and I reckon we'll be able to clear everything without notching anything, so it should be alright. So alright, we might go and see if it's lunchtime, or we might go and see if we can buy some steel and get that done. Alright, look, here it is in all its ugliness. I said, TIG weld all that up now, and give it a lick of rattle can, grind her up. I'll say she's pretty much done, apart from the holes that need to be drilled, but like I said, they're going to come at a later date. You know, it would have been really good while I was doing all this plate stuff. If only I had a plasma cutter that actually would cut the steel that I need, because it's just like 6mm plate I'm using. Unfortunately, I plugged the compressor directly onto that at 4 bar pressure when it's got a maximum of 2, and I've blown the arse out of it, so need to visit that one day and see what I've got to do to fix it, because it is very handy for these jobs, but not right now. Alright, the welder's been struggling to keep up because it's such thick metal, so it's only a little 180 TIG, but we've got it all welded up. So I'll just give that a bit of a rattle can in black, and while I've been waiting for the actual cool down in between, I've bolted the mirrors on to make my own little rubber gaskets. Got the door cards in with the brand new door handles. Got that HZ dash just sitting in place there. So I've been busy, so I'm going to give this a rattle can now. Wouldn't mind chucking it in, pulling the jack out from underneath it, and then we know every gearbox is supported and the mounts turned up, so we don't have enough time for them today. So we've got the universal Barra mounts where I'll just run a bit of probably 6 or 8mm plate again off that, and I'll just cut them to suit to go onto those on the side of a block. So it's actually pretty straightforward going. So at the end of the next Friday we do, the engine and gearbox will be properly mounted. The following Friday after that, then we'll pull it all out, tidy up those engine things, we'll seal on the sump and bits and pieces we need to do, and we can drop it back in one more time and pretty much have it ready to go. As for the firewall and things like that, I can get in here, I can just tape this off and rattle can black in here underneath all that, and I can just move this off after the fact. Alright, cross members painted, cross members bolted in. Gearbox isn't bolted to a cross member, but the weight of a gearbox can be put onto a cross member now. So that's pretty much it for now. We'll go and have a little look at it. Get this. There we go. Job done. Alright. Next episode will be getting the engine mounts sorted out and setting it up properly. I'm also thinking I'm not pulling the engine back out again. Just looking up there, I can pull the sub clean off from the bottom of the car just like that. So this might be the final time she's in. She's not being pulled out again. If you want to see more of this build and WB, subscribe and follow along. Thanks for watching.